The top stories tonight in Y News. Former Senator Laila de Lima emphasizes the importance of the Philippine government's full cooperation with the International Criminal Court. Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation and Unity, Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. announces that the Philippine government and the NDFP reach an agreement to bring an end to the armed conflict through peaceful resolution. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. was expected to sign the 2024 proposed budget before departing for Japan in December. And the initial 4-day ceasefire between Israel and Hamas has been extended by another 2 days, which aim to free 50 Israeli women and children. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Tuesday, November 28, 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Harleen Delgado. First in the news. Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation and Unity, Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. announced that the Philippine government and the National Democratic Front of the Philippines, or NDFP, have come to an agreement to conclude the armed conflict through peaceful resolution. Nelma Ribohok reports.
The peace negotiations between the Philippine government and the National Democratic Front of the Philippines are set to commence anew. This announcement comes from Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr., the Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation and Unity, following the joint communique released by both parties signifying their commitment to achieving peaceful resolutions to the armed conflict.
I am therefore privileged to report that the government of the Republic of the Philippines and the National Democratic Front of the Philippines have agreed to a principled and peaceful resolution in ending the armed conflict.
Secretary Galvez expressed optimism regarding the future relations between the government and the NDFP.
But I believe nakikita namin with the confidence na nakita namin na when I first talked with them and even nagkaroon kami na talagang some cordial discussions. I can see that there is a positive outlook na it will end up with a final peace agreement.
However, the Department of National Defense clarified that despite the developments in talks with the NDFP, the situation on the ground remains unchanged. Particularly, there has been no declaration of a ceasefire between government troops and the New People's Army or NPA.
As Secretary Galvez has said, these are preliminary exploratory talks. And all programs, security, law enforcement programs of the government shall continue.
The said joint statement is a product of a series of informal discussions held in the Netherlands and Norway starting in 2022 between the emissaries of the government of the Philippines and the NDFP with the facilitation of the Royal Norwegian government. Nelma Ribohok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The presentation of evidence and witnesses by the prosecution has concluded in the recent case involving former Senator Laila de Lima at the Muntinlupa Regional Trial Court Branch 206. The Department of Justice, or DOJ, panel of prosecutors has formally offered their evidence, marking a crucial phase in the legal proceedings. Attorney Raymond Bagilay, the legal representative of Senator de Lima, has indicated that they have been granted 10 days to provide commentary. Among the considerations for the defense is the potential filing of a demurrer to evidence, questioning the sufficiency of the presented evidence as grounds to halt the continuation of the trial.
Sa December 8, deadline namin for the comment opposition para dun sa formal offer of evidence. Importante yun kasi nga magbibilang na din kami after that period kapag lumabas naman yung resolution ni Judge Gito doon, ay pwede na din kami makafile ng aming demurrer to evidence.
Former Senator Laila de Lima expressed today that rejoining the International Criminal Court or ICC should not pose a problem for the Philippines. Dante Amento tells us why.
In a unilateral decision, former President Rodrigo Duterte withdrew the Philippines from the International Criminal Court or ICC, a move that has sparked discussions on the nation's accountability on the international stage. Former Senator Laila de Lima remarked on Tuesday, November 28, asserting that the Philippines rejoining the Rome Statute should not be a cause for concern.
Hindi dapat nagiging problema yung issue about the rejoining of the Philippines.
De Lima went on to suggest that Duterte's decision to withdraw from the ICC was a deliberate effort to avoid accountability for the controversial and deadly drug war under his administration.
Na here we are, merong isang tao na dahil nga gusto niyang umiwas sa accountability, bigla niyang withdraw. So, anong problema ngayon sa pagbalik natin, which is the right thing to do?
The former legislator is hoping the current study of whether the country would be rejoining the ICC has something to do with the justice for the war on drug victims.
So I hope really that the result of that study by the Executive Department would be positive na dapat bumalik na tayo sa ICC para ganap ng hustisya ang makuha ng mga naging biktima.
Meanwhile, Solicitor General Minardo Guevara revealed there are many factors to be considered in rejoining the international agreement. He emphasized that the decision doesn't solely rest with the executive branch but requires the participation of the upper chamber of Congress, the Senate. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Senate has approved the proposed 5.7 trillion peso national budget for next year. The measure was passed on both second and third readings on the same day as the measure was certified as urgent by President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. 21 senators voted in favor of the measure. No voted against, while one abstained from voting. Senate Minority Leader Aquilino Coco Pimentel explains he abstained as he still opposes the urgent certification of the budget.
So I will not object anymore. I'll just make a manifestation of my continuing objection to the use of a presidential certification for the budget when I do not see any emergency or calamity right before us, which will be addressed by the certification.
Senator Sonny Angara, who chairs the Senate Committee on Finance, will lead the Senate contingent in the bicameral conference committee, where the disagreeing provisions of both versions of the budget will be harmonized. Meanwhile, anticipated before the end of December, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. was expected to sign the 2024 proposed budget. According to Finance Secretary Benjamin Jokno, there is a possibility that the president may affix his signature before departing for Japan in December. The signing is expected to take place as President Marcos is set to attend the ASEAN-Japan Friendship and Cooperation Commemorative Summit from December 16 to 18.
Malamang. Kasi I was talking to the liaison officer to na-approve na kasi yung budget eh. So they will go into conference committee by December 1st. And so there's enough time bago umalis si Presidente.
The economic managers of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. expressed confidence in achieving a robust 6 to 7% gross domestic product or GDP growth rate for the year 2023. Finance Secretary Benjamin Jokno highlights the favorable financial position of the Philippines and its external debt status.
We are confident that the economy will grow by around 6%. That's the lower end of our growth target of 6 to 7% this year, and we will continue to grow at around 6.5 to 8% for the rest of President Marcos's term. So in case ang problema kasi ng external debt is pag nag-devalue yung currency mo, then you have a bigger problem, right? So in terms of external debt, we don't face adverse external shock.
The Finance Secretary notes that the World Bank sees the Philippines potentially surpassing the economic growth of other East Asian countries. However, the administration remains vigilant, acknowledging external factors that could impact the nation's economic trajectory, such as the Russia-Ukraine war and conflicts in Israel, coupled with the soaring prices of petroleum products and fertilizers. Additionally, there are concerns about reported pneumonia outbreaks in China.
The fourth possible external risk, I'm sure narinig nyo na ito, is yung outbreak of pneumonia in China. Okay? We don't know yet the extent of that problem. And the other problem in China is the so-called property crisis.
To reach the economic growth target and manage inflation, the administration is focusing on several key initiatives. These include ensuring the swift and efficient utilization of agency funds, boosting agricultural production, and implementing targeted subsidies for sectors affected by inflation. And for the news abroad, 3 college students of Palestinian descent were left hospitalized after a man shot them at close range near the University of Vermont in the United States over the weekend. The 48-year-old suspect, who was identified as Jason J. Eaton, pleaded not guilty to attempted murder charges and was ordered by the judge to be held without bail. Authorities are investigating the attack as a possible hate crime, as threats against Jewish, Muslim, and Arab communities increase across the country following the Israel-Hamas crisis, which erupted on October 7. The 3 20-year-old men who were shot recounted they were wearing Palestinian keffiyeh scarves and were conversing in a mix of English and Arabic before being wordlessly confronted and shot by Eaton. The students sustained gunshot wounds and injuries and remained under medical care on Monday. While there is no evidence yet to support allegations of hate crime, State Attorney Sarah Fair George of Chittenden County said there is no doubt it was a hateful act. In a Security Council meeting at the United Nations on Monday, November 27, there was a heated exchange between the North Korean ambassador and the U.S. ambassador regarding North Korea's ballistic missiles and nuclear program. Both ambassadors vehemently denied that their respective military exercises were offensive in nature, asserting that they were conducted for defensive purposes.
It is a legitimate right for the DPRK as another belligerent party to develop, test, manufacture, and possess weapon systems equivalent to those that the United States have already possessed and or developing right now.
Meanwhile, North Korea has been under UN sanctions since 2006 due to its ballistic missiles and nuclear program. The sanctions include a prohibition of manufacturing ballistic missiles, which North Korea allegedly violated by launching a satellite last week. This was followed by the testing of a dozen ballistic missiles in the past 20 months. U.S. Ambassador Linda Thomas-Greenfield strongly condemned these activities, asserting that they are not in line with the agreements of the Security Council.
We reject strongly the disingenuous DPRK claim that its missile launches are merely defensive in nature in response to our bilateral and trilateral military exercises.
We'll share more global stories with you later. For those watching our live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. Less than a week after the House initiated its proceedings, a similar measure urging the Marcos administration to work with the International Criminal Court, or ICC, has been filed in the Senate. But some senators are not pleased with the recent move. This report will tell us why.
Senate Deputy Minority Leader Risa Hontiveros files a resolution urging the palace to cooperate with the International Criminal Court or ICC and assist in its investigation into the bloody drug war of the Duterte administration. In Senate Resolution number 867, the senator maintains that the country's withdrawal from the Rome Statute should not affect any cooperation with the International Tribunal. The opposition lawmaker stresses that the administration should affirm its commitment in advancing humanitarian law and international justice. She also dismisses claims that her move is politically motivated.
Hindi timing sa House, hindi timing sa away ng kung sino-sino, pero 7 taon nang humihingi ng hustisya ang mga pamilya ng EJ case.
But Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa is dismayed with Hontiveros' move. De la Rosa spearheaded the Oplan Tokang during his stint as the Philippine National Police Chief under the administration of former President Rodrigo Duterte. He also earlier tagged himself as the number 2 accused in the ICC probe.
Yung timing ba naman, kung kailan merong gusot between the Dutertes and the Speaker of the House, saka pa naglabasan yung mga resolusyon na yan, kung talagang sincero sila sa kanilang gusto, no, na papasukin ang ICC. Why did it take 1.5 years bago lang ma-realize na, kailangan pala talaga nating papasukin ang ICC?
For presidential sister Senator Amy Marcos, those who are urging the government to work with the ICC are looking for trouble.
Talagang basag ulo to. So they're really looking for trouble. But President Duterte has said repeatedly, bring it on. Para sa akin, ang totoo, desisyon nito ng ehekutibo. Ibig sabihin, ang ading ko, si Presidente, na paulit-ulit nang sinabi na hindi papapasukin ang ICC. Sang-ayon po ako doon.
Wala pong naghahanap ng trouble. Ang pinakamalaking trouble sa lahat ay yung trouble na ibinagsak sa ulo at buhay ng mga balo at ulila ng extrajudicial killings ng war on drugs.
Marcos adds she is willing to tackle the resolution if time permits, should it be referred to the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations, which she chairs. Another committee that the resolution might be referred to is the Committee on Justice and Human Rights, headed by another Duterte ally, Senator Francis Tolentino. Despite this, Hontiveros hopes for a fair hearing on the resolution and for her colleagues to reach a consensus on the matter. For his part, Senate President Juan Miguel Migzubiri believes the decision is now up to President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and not to the senators whether the Philippines should re-enter the ICC. The Senate leader refuses to comment on the issue and will just wait for the president's decision. Jorge Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
After 6 months of extensive rehabilitation spearheaded by the local government in collaboration with the Department of Public Works and Highways, motorists will once again traverse the Lagusilan underpass in the city of Manila. Addressing long-standing complaints from drivers, the road's potholes have been meticulously fixed and a once troublesome drainage issue has been successfully resolved. The Manila LG reports that the Lagusilan underpass's drainage system has undergone a significant upgrade, accompanied by the installation of solar studs to illuminate the road. Thanks to these improvements, the underpass is no longer prone to flooding, marking a significant enhancement in its functionality.
Ginawa namin drainage improvement, upgrading, tapos and concreting. Kasama na yung waterproofing. Hindi siya mapupuno kasi may pump kami. May pump level, may pumping level kami. Pag medyo dumadami na pinapump na pataas.
Originally slated to reopen in September, the project faced delays but has now welcomed motorists in November. The timing of the underpass reopening is particularly fortuitous for the Manila LGU, given the anticipated increase in traffic during the holiday season. Today, Lagusilan is once again open, and some jeepney drivers express hope that improved navigation will spare them from heavy traffic jams.
Makakalimang ikot na po ulit. Kasi dati nakakatatlo na lang nung sarado. Kasi sobrang traffic.
Ayos naman, maganda at maginhawa na rin po ang pagtakbo ng sasakyan. Hindi nakakatulad sa kabila na siksikan.
Today, the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, unveiled its new Special Operations Group Strike Force, a dedicated unit tasked with overseeing traffic management on EDSA and other major roads in Metro Manila. Gabriel Gov't has been appointed as the officer in charge, or OIC, of the Special Operations Group Strike Force, reporting directly to the Office of the MMDA Assistant General Manager for Operations.
Kasi dati meron tayong mga grupo na anti-illegal parking, meron yung nag-ooperate sa mabuhay lanes natin. Ngayon, dinagdag pati sidewalk clearing ng MPCG. Ngayon, lahat ito under ng direct supervision ng opisina ng operation.
In their inaugural operations, the team apprehended 18 motorcycles and 8 private vehicles attempting to access the EDSA busway. The strike force also issued tickets to vehicles found illegally parked in violation of traffic laws and operating without helmets. Furthermore, the group conducted operations along EDSA and in select areas in Quezon City, marking a proactive effort to enforce traffic regulations and enhance road safety in key metropolitan areas.
Maraming mga motorista at maraming mga tao magkakadaroon po ng additional load ng mga sasakyan. That's one thing that we are considering para madagdagan din po ang manpower natin. Especially po dito sa ating strike force, that's one thing that we are also considering, na magdagdag po tayo ng mga enforcers when it comes to our operation.
In the coming days, the Bureau of Plant Industry has announced the anticipated arrival of imported onions in the country. According to the agency's director, Glenn Panganiban, this development is poised to have an impact on the market, potentially leading to a decrease in onion prices.
Siguro in the coming days or weeks na magkakasupply na tayo for sure, bababa na yung ating presyo sa.
Based on the Department of Agriculture's price monitoring, there has been an observed increase in the price of red onions, ranging from 20 to 30 pesos per kilogram when comparing the months of October and November. Panganiban emphasized that the ideal price range should be between 140 to 180 pesos, expressing concern that Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura has called for an investigation into the retail prices, deeming them significantly higher compared to wholesale prices in cold storages. This issue highlights the need for scrutiny and balance in the pricing structure to ensure fair market practices.
Mataas ang presyo compare to sa wholesale price na lumalabas. Sa tingin natin may problema yung retail. Dapat ikutin ng DA yung retail price, bakit ang taas.
The Department of Health remains vigilant as the country grapples with a surge in influenza-like cases. Health officials emphasize that they are on high alert for the emergence of new pathogens, underscoring the importance of constant monitoring and preparedness in the face of evolving health challenges. Gladys Tuabi details one.
The Philippines has now documented approximately 190,000 cases exhibiting influenza-like symptoms, with a notable prevalence among the younger population.
Ito ay kita naman sa pagtataas o pagwawalang bisa sa public health emergency, pagkat ang ibig sabihin yan ay malaya ng nakakalabas at nakakasanhimuha ang mga kababayan natin.
Health Undersecretary Eric Tayag emphasizes that individuals presenting with flu-like symptoms are undergoing testing at Department of Health facilities. This proactive measure aims to discern whether cases are attributable to COVID-19 or other strains of the influenza virus. In response to this situation, the DOH is vigilant for potential new pathogens, underscoring the importance of early detection. Physicians are urged to promptly report any surges in cases to enable swift and effective responses.
At sa mga pamadang lokal, i-report natin sa Department of Health kung biglang tumataas sa kaso dyan ay influenza-like test. Kada na sa ganoon ay pagtulungan ng pagwaran ng pagtulungan, DILG, na huwag na pumadat nila.
Simultaneously, the public, especially those in vulnerable demographics, is strongly advised to receive vaccinations and consistently wear masks as precautionary measures. Seeking professional consultation and testing when experiencing flu-like symptoms is strongly recommended to ensure early detection and appropriate management.
tayo ay makakaranas ng paglalakad, ipapansin Thomas ng sibot o kaya pag-ubo, kailangan magpatingin tayo at magpa-throat swab para nakakasiguro tayo na hindi pala COVID yan.
Gladys Tuabi, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The administrative case against Lieutenant Colonel Mark Julio Abong regarding the hit-and-run incident in Quezon City in August 2022 has received a dismissal from the service. However, the Philippine National Police or PNP is unable to implement the dismissal at present since Abong has appealed to the National Police Commission and the process needs to be completed. The People's Law Enforcement Board has issued a dismissal from the service against Abong for administrative charges of grave misconduct, grave neglect of duty, and conduct unbecoming of a police officer.
So naglabas po ng decision ang Regional Appellate Board affirming yung decision po ng pleb for the dismissal po from the PNP service no Lieutenant Colonel Abong last August 2023. However, again, Lieutenant Colonel Abong exhausted his administrative legal remedies. He filed a timely appeal before the Office of the Secretary of the Interior and Local Government. So nandun ngayon po yung status ng kaso niya. Kaya on the part of the PNP, hindi po tayo makapag-issue ng any implementing orders hanggat hindi po natatapos ang proseso.
Police Colonel Jean Fajardo mentioned that the PNP is cautious about hastily issuing an order as it could potentially be used by Abong to have his case dismissed. In connection with this, the Quezon City Police District has also revoked Abong's firearm license.
Kapag nag-issue po tayo ng dismissal order niya at meron pa pong pending appeal, ay mate-technical po tayo and pwede niya po itong gamitin na lusot po para questionin po yung kanyang dismissal order at makabalik pa po siya sa serbisyo. Magkakaroon po ng administrative proceedings po yung FEO at once it is terminated, then his license to own and possess firearms and yung registration mismo ng baril po niya will be cancelled and revoked po.
Apart from the ongoing criminal case of reckless imprudence resulting in homicide that Abong has been facing for a year, he is also dealing with charges of alarm and scandal, illegal discharge of firearms, slander, and physical injury due to his actions last Sunday. In other global news, 11 Israeli hostages, including 3-year-old twins, have been released by the Hamas militant group. This adds to more than 50 hostages released by Hamas in total. In exchange, 33 Palestinians, including 30 children and 3 women, are set to be released from Israeli prisons, according to Qatar. Following a 4-day ceasefire that marked the end of the hostilities, Qatar announced that both Israel and Hamas have agreed to extend the truce by an additional 2 days. In the latest development, the initial 4-day ceasefire between Israel and Hamas has been extended to by another 2 days. There is hope that this additional truce period will facilitate the release of more hostages. Paul Gatchalian will tell us why.
The unfolding events, the 4-day truce between Israel and Hamas, originally set to conclude on Monday, November 27, 2023, has taken a positive turn. Under the initial agreement, which aimed to free 50 Israeli women and children, Hamas has exceeded expectations by releasing a total of 69 individuals, comprising both Israelis and non-Israelis. Notably, at least 11 Israeli hostages have safely returned to Israel. Prior to these releases, reports indicated that 184 hostages were still being held in Gaza, including 14 foreigners and 80 Israelis with dual nationality. The White House, however, does not believe that any Americans are among the recent group released from Gaza. Mediator Qatar has announced the extension of the humanitarian pause for another 2 days, fostering optimism for the release of more hostages. This development comes with a notable outcome: the ability of food trucks to enter Gaza. The extension of the truce is seen as a glimmer of hope and humanity, according to United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Nevertheless, he highlights that 2 days may not be sufficient to meet Gaza's pressing aid requirements. For the people of Gaza, a truce extension has been a fervent request in their prayers.
It's a glimpse of hope and humanity in the middle of the darkness of war. I strongly hope that this will enable us to increase even more the humanitarian aid to the people in Gaza that is suffering so much, knowing that even with that additional amount of time, it will be impossible to satisfy all the dramatic needs of the population in Gaza.
Reports indicate the considerable challenges faced by those living in the northern enclave, which bore the brunt of Israel's ground invasion. Paul Gatchalian, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Elon Musk arrived in Tel Aviv yesterday morning to hold discussions with several officials in the country, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, President Isaac Herzog, and the families of those held captive by Hamas. President Herzog expressed his desire for Musk to address the rise of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia globally, not only in the United States, but in nearly all parts of the world, using Musk's social media platform X. In addition, Israeli Communication Minister Shlomo Karhi announced an agreement regarding Israel's use of Elon Musk's Starlink satellite internet network to enhance communication in the occupied Palestinian territory. According to the agreement, Starlink satellite services will be allowed in Gaza, but control must remain solely with Israel, and approval from the Israeli Ministry of Communications is required. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. Our kasambahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the various challenges and uncertainties, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity.
Good day. I'm Brother Eli Soriano of the members of the Church of God International. I want to invite you to join us in a minute of prayer every day to pray for humanity and the whole world as we go through these perilous times. While safety measures like washing of hands and strengthening of our immune systems may help us through this horrible predicament, there is still no precaution or cure more powerful than God's mighty intervention. And we need His intervention now more than ever. It doesn't matter what religion you are in or what denomination you belong. This is an invitation for all the people around the world who cares for the future of their family, friends, loved ones, and humanity as a whole. Everybody is welcome to pray with us. For more details, you can check out the description box below. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon. May God bless you.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Proverbs, chapter 14, verse 6, it says, "A scorner seeketh wisdom, and findeth it not, but knowledge is easy unto him that understandeth." And those are the reasons behind the news November 28, 2023. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold, because we need to know. We will always ask why. I'm Hardin Delgado. We serve the people. We give glory to God.